Welcome to Motherhood and ADHD. I'm your friend, Patricia Sung. My mission is to be a lighthouse for mothers with ADHD, helping you find your path to success by learning to appreciate your ADHD as an asset. I'm seeking to change the paradigm that ADHD means your life is doomed to be a hot mess. So I'm sharing strategies and encouraging you in your pursuit of happiness to love who you are every day of your ADHD life. Hey there, Mama. It's your friend, Patricia Sung. As moms, we are all looking for a way to make our day feel better, calmer, more organized, more together, less chicken with the head cut off, if you will. Well, that ease and that calm all begins with having a plan. And the first step to creating a plan is knowing how to use your calendar. I know, all the ADHD eyes rolled. But here's the thing. Keeping up with your calendar is a learned skill. It is something that we can learn how to do when it's explained to us in a way that makes sense for our brains. And I'm here to help. You know I got the ADHD brain down pat. So before we jump into that, let's go through this week's review. It's from Ann Sally. It's called Connecting Mamas. Thank you. Thank you a million for your podcast. I've listened to a handful of your episodes and I've enjoyed them so much. Not only do I have ADHD, I have clinical depression since I was 14. Had a very rough patch 2.5 years ago when my youngest was born, and I have a heart condition. I'm coming more to terms with it all and being honest. Podcasts have been my saving grace this past year. Then finding your podcast has made me feel less alone. Well, thank you, Ann Sally. It is so common for women with ADHD to have another mental health friend, if you will, come over and join their ADHD. I've got plenty myself. Truly, my main goal in going into this podcast was to help women with ADHD know that they weren't alone. So to hear those words come out of your mouth, it's like, yes, it's working. Mama, would you help a girl out? Subscribe to the podcast and leave a review on the app that you're listening on. That is how podcasts show up on the search results, and more people listening begets more people listening. And I want every mom with ADHD to know that she is not broken and not alone. Another thing I want you to know, keeping up with your calendar is totally possible. So how is that going to help me? This week, we're starting How to Keep a Calendar for ADHD Brains class, and I've gotten quite a few questions, and these are the top ones that I've heard the most. So I'm sharing them with you in one place, and regardless if you take the class or not, I want you to have the kick in the rear to do some work on how you can stay at top of your calendar. And if you want some help, you know where to find me. The website's patriciasung.com/ADHD calendar. Okay, so the question, how is keeping up with my calendar going to help me with my day? First off, it's building awareness. And when you build awareness, you build your ability. Awareness is kind of like your brain's back burner. When something sits there, it's always in the background and our brain is working on it. The more that we're aware of something that we want to work on, the more that our brain will then notice when there's that opportunity that pops up, or when we missed an opportunity. Those are the places that we learn. When we miss the opportunity and we're like, oh, could have done that better. Those are the times that we learn. A lot of times we look at failure like it's a problem, but actually failure is where we learn the most. Kind of stinks, but it's the truth. And we get better with practice. Calendar skills are no different than any other skill. We have to practice in order to get better. Just like there's a day when the great musicians couldn't play a note and the great artists held their paintbrush for the first time. It takes time to get that level of mastery. It's not an immediate thing. I know our ADHD brains just live in that immediate gratification zone, but that's not how skills are built. So we just have to let go of that expectation that immediate mastery is somehow possible. It's not. And accept that we're going to get better with time. So the more that we're aware of this concept, the more that our brain is working out in the background, and the more that we're going to build that ability with time. Another helpful reason that our calendars help us reclaim our day is that they allow us to bring the future into the now. Most of us with ADHD have no sense of time. Or if we do have one, it's pretty terrible. So we need to have a physical awareness in order to bring time into something more tangible. When we think about our calendar and we look at what's going on tomorrow or next week, it brings that future that we're not thinking about at all into the present. Then we can start to work on it. This helps us prevent those what the heck? I totally forgot about that. Because we took the time to look ahead and see what's coming. It's just like when you're driving your car. If you only focus what's a foot in front of your car, you are going to crash into something down the road because you're not looking for the traffic light or the accident. Whereas if you take a moment, literally just a few seconds, and you look up and check out what's going on way up ahead, then your brain can start to prepare for that upcoming obstacle. We're also going to save a ton of time by looking ahead because we're wasting less time that way. For every 10 minutes that you plan, you save yourself an hour. Like, do the math. That's totally reclaiming your day. It's amazing. If you tell me that I have to take only 10 minutes and I'm going to save an hour, like, that's magic. A lot of us think that we have to spend a bazillion hours planning out our calendar. It's not true. This is something that we take a few minutes each day to look at, and in that 10 minutes we spend today, we're saving an hour tomorrow. If we spend 20 minutes looking at all of next week, we're saving ourselves 2 hours. That's like just a no-brainer. But here's the thing, if we don't stop and make that a priority and we don't plan to do it, it is not going to happen. Our brains just don't work like that. We have to be really purposeful in planning our day. I wish the executive functioning gods had dropped that brilliance in my head on its own, but they didn't. So I have to put systems in place in order to help me overcome that blind spot that I have. The fourth way that our calendar helps us to have a smooth day is that we keep everything in one place. Let's be honest, we have the tendency to put things in lots of places. One of my friends recently made a comment about how her husband puts things in places and she leaves things in places. Are you a leaver too? I am too. Things just kind of get set down wherever I pass by unless I purposefully am placing them where they go. Well, this applies to our calendar as well. When we make a point of putting things on our calendar instead of just leaving notes for ourselves as we go, this is going to keep us organized because everything's in one place. And when we need help and we need to know like what's going on now, it's all in one spot. It's all on the plan. We're not trying to find in 15 different places. Well, maybe I put it here and maybe I put it there, but it also could have been on that Post-it note that's at the bottom of my purse, and you know the feeling. So having everything in one place is going to save us time and keep us sane. As moms, we have enough to keep track of. We don't need another 15 places to go check for things, right? The fifth way that our calendar makes our lives easier is that it is a repeatable system. We're not going to be floundering around with where do I start or what comes next. The system is super simple. We're going to create the system that you can adjust no matter what season of your life you're in. But kids are always changing, right? The way you run your life when you have babies and toddlers is different than when you have kids in elementary school or high school. But when you have this system in place, it's really easy to adjust. It's a repeatable system. We're not reinventing the wheel as our kids grow. It's just, here's my system. I just am redoing the same system, whether I'm doing it with the daycare calendar or whether I'm doing it with the playdate calendar or whether I'm doing it with the soccer calendar or the high school applications calendar. It's the same system. Now, the bonus here is that as you exercise these planning skills, you are building up those muscles. So you're not just working on your planning ability for calendars, but you're working on your planning ability as a whole. And the more that you work those muscles, the stronger that they get. Now, what I actually think is the most important part is that when you have a handle on your calendar, you are growing your confidence. When you have less blunders during your week, it means you're spending less time beating yourself up, jumping in that shame spiral and spinning around down the drain. I mean, I want to teach you how to get out of that shame spiral when it happens, and that's an episode for another day. But it's a whole lot easier when we just don't buy the ticket and hop on that ride in the first place. So if we can find a way to avoid even having the shame spiral begin by having a better sense of what we need to do and where we need to be, then hey, that is going to grow your confidence. On top of that, we're learning what works for your brain. Anytime that you can be more familiar with who you are and work with what you have instead of trying to conform it into something that's never going to work, that was fit for somebody else's brain, like that's just a frustration fest. So if we're in here learning how is this system going to work for your brain, like you're getting to know who you are and what works for you. That's such a huge boost to our confidence and an understanding and our self-identity. And I am not going to get on that soapbox today. but I want you to feel proud of yourself. I want you to know that you can take your ability from either whatever haphazard system you have right now, or if you have zero system at all, in baby steps, we can figure out how this will work for you. It is possible, and I want you to have the confidence in knowing that you can do this. And truly, that's the benefit of doing this class, is that you have me with you. I am there every step of the way, and we're going to cut down on the overwhelm, because if you get stuck, you can have someone ask questions. You're not getting into that like task initiation fumbliness. This is what we're going to do. Here's step 1. It's very clear. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. If you were going to do it on your own, you would have already. Like, let me help you. I'm going with you step by step, so it's not going to be overwhelming. And you have accountability, because all of the mamas are doing this together. It's not just you. You get to take the decades of ADHD experience that are floating around in this brain in literally like 2 hours. You've downloaded it into yours and you know what to do. Okay, so questions I've gotten. 1, how am I going to keep up with this? I know. Not a strong point, eh? So first of all, this could go 2 ways. Like, are you asking me if you can keep up with the class, or are you asking that you're going to keep up with this like long-term in life? Well, with the class, it's short lessons. Just like I like to keep the podcast short, the lessons are all short. The activities are as short as I possibly can make them, with making sure that we actually get done what we need to get done. There's replays of the video, so if you are someone that likes to hear something more than once, you can rewatch it. I'm typing up notes to go along with the lessons, because I fully believe in adult accommodation, so having your notes ahead of time as you work through it is super helpful. And the system is a skill set, so you can adjust your calendar to each season of motherhood as life is changing. Whatever you are implementing now in this season will be modifiable to fit the next season. Now, if you're talking about like, how am I going to keep up with this long term? Well, motivation is the key for ADHD. So we have an entire module on zoning into your motivation. Like, why are you even taking this class? Because it doesn't matter why I keep up with my calendar or your best friend keeps up with their calendar. Like, it matters why you keep up with your calendar. That is what's going to keep you moving forward, is your motivation. But like, big picture, if you're doing these calendar steps 50% or 90% or even 10%, that is better than 0. Like, you are doing better than you were before. We're looking for progress, not perfection. So we recognize that our ADHD brains take longer to develop habits that stick. So let's give ourselves that grace to learn. You have permanent access to these videos, so you can go back and watch anytime. We're going to build in ways to remind ourselves and keep ourselves up with it. I'm not just going to hand you a couple of videos and be like, peace. No, like, we're going to create a way for you to do this that fits in your life. Okay, another question. It's just like, what are we doing? Well, I am going to send you video lessons, and then we're going to meet on Zoom at least once a week so that we can get together with our little group and ask questions. Now, if you can't be on that call, that's totally fine. You can send me your questions ahead of time, and we'll just go through, like, what are you stuck on? What do you have questions about? What didn't make sense? When you said this, what do you mean? Like, we're going to work through all that so that you are fully clear on what you need to do to get this done. Then on some of them, they'll have a short activity, and it's just where needed. They are anywhere from like literally like a minute, like you have like one like super fast job to do. Or some of them are like when we're actually digging into our calendars, obviously it's going to be more depending on, how many kids you have and how many schedules you're juggling. But those activities that we're doing are about your calendar. Like, we're not doing any hypothetical Susie Smooze calendar here. We're getting stuff done on your calendar. Like, this is purposeful. This is a double duty activity. We are working on your calendar and making headway in your life, not some hypothetical life. Now, since this is the beta class, that means that our Q&A together is like, this is my time to figure out, like, what did I forget? What did I miss? What did I not explain well? Because I want this to be the best possible course that I can give you, and I want to make sure that I answer all the questions. So just like in school, because y'all know I was a middle school teacher, like, there's always time at the end for questions because I want to make sure that it makes sense. I don't want you to walk away and be like, no, not cool. Like, I get that you're probably going to have to like hit pause and tell some kid to quit yelling in the background. It's totally fine. Our Zoom Q&As are recorded, and they're just for our little group. They're not going to be like on the internet for everybody to watch. That way, if you can't be there, you can send your questions ahead of time. If you are there, we can work through together, you and me, like, get in there and dig in and figure out, how do we make this work for you? I am sending out a Google form to everybody asking, like, when's the best time for you to meet? Because I want to find the time that works best for as many people can be there as possible. And I'm going to be asking like a million times, like, do you have any more questions? How are you doing? What do you need? Because I want this to be literally just perfect for you. I want it to be everything that you need, but nothing extra, because y'all know that our brains don't need anything extra. The other question I've gotten is like, why aren't you charging more for this? Which is very sweet, y'all. But here's the deal. This is a beta version, and that's fancy talk for just, this is the first time I'm running this class online. And having taught middle schools for many years, I know that I need guinea pigs to test it out for me. And that is you, mama. I need your help. So in exchange for a lower price, I need your feedback and an amazing testimonial when you're kicking tail and taking names after you implement what we are learning together. Like, my favorite part of beta testing is that I get to incorporate all your feedback and make the class even better and truly match like what you need. So you will get to ask lots of questions, and I'll be asking questions and figuring out where you're hitting the roadblocks and how do we work through them. The Q&A meetings are pretty much like free coaching included in the class, which is like super like such a deal. So you putting in your input into the class means you're getting an amazingly like tailored experience. So to me, that's a win-win. Now, if you have other questions that you want to ask, shoot me a DM, email me. I'm happy to answer. And keep in mind that I'm also running a giveaway for 2 classes. So the last day to enter is today if you're listening in real time. So share on social media about the podcast or the class and tag me. You can do it on Facebook or Instagram. I'm not on TikTok, but you're welcome to do that. Just if it's somewhere that I'm not, take a screenshot, tag me, and send it over to me, and I will count every share as an entry into the class giveaway. Now, if you're listening in real time, sign up for class now, because the class is closing on Friday, May 7th for the beta group. And the website is patriciasung.com/ADHD calendar. Now's the time to decide. So go ahead and sign up. And if you're listening in the future, head over to the same website and sign up for what is now the fabulous course that all of these mamas have created together, tested, and know that when you take this class, it is surely going to make your days better. So do it. Sign up. Make your day better for not just you, but your family too. All right. I'll talk to you soon, successful mama.
Thank you for listening to Motherhood and ADHD. For more resources, head over to our website, www.motherhoodandadhd.com.